My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. Today we're going to discuss old Magic the Gathering, new Magic the Gathering, and why your face has rounded corners. Hold on. Cut. Take two. Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. Nobody cares. Nobody watches this channel for you guys only watch my channel for the high-end video editing, isn't it? Am I too high up? I like art, but I only like very old art. 18th, 19th century art. I like it when museums like to sell their pieces and they need to raise money because they want to put a new exhibit and they want to put some stupid modern thing where they just put a splash of paint and they have to sell the old good stuff. That's where it's at. So, first question of the video. Rudy, you don't talk about old Magic? Do you still have your heavy bags of vintage Magic the Gathering? Well, Timmy, boy, do I sure do. I probably still do. And it is in the Rudy Vault, and it's still there. I probably still have my solid, good old-fashioned 8-figure position in old Magic, and I really haven't looked at it and really done much with it in a very long time. And I know the next question is, well, Rudy, what do you think of old Magic in a post-Magic 30, post-COVID world? Not much to really report to you all. I don't see any uptick on Magic the Gathering. I don't see any uptick in major demand. New Magic is still where all the hype is. New players who join Magic the Gathering are obsessed with the new IPs and Universes Beyond, and they want Fallout, they want Assassin's Creed, they want Bloomburrow, they want a Master Set, and I mean, that is where the excitement still is. Even if the modern, the standard, the Commander, the whatever, the Pioneer, the Pauper, is this still a thing? I don't know. Even if these cards are continuously reprinted and it's impossible for them to have any financial growth in the cards they own, that is still where the excitement is, everybody. I don't think it's going to change, and it is starting to look like we are in for a multi-year or a very long, winter, a very long, cold, frozen market of old Magic the Gathering. Unless we can get some form of catalyst, whether it's a big YouTuber or a major news event or a major corporate event or something that can really kind of spark or change things, it does look like we could be looking at a 5 to 10 year. I know I said 10 year, that is a decade. We could be looking at, we are now, 2.5 years. The bear market of 2022 and 2023 has ended for new Magic, has ended for Pokemon, has ended for Weiss, has ended for Flesh and Blood. Sorcery, well, never really went through it. New Star Wars, doing great. One Piece, looking shaky. And Lorcana, if I make a Lorcana video, so many people get wound up, it's crazy. But no, the old Magic still looks very shaky. The money is just very, very jittery, very uncomfortable. And it does look like, after the 2-year crash, we've been in a good market now for 9 months. The low was October, November of 2023. That was the bottom of the market. And we are about to hit August now. So we're a couple months away from a year. And, everything is doing quite well, except there are certain categories, this is why diversification is important, that, have still not shown any signs of it. And it's looking to me like it could be a 5-year window, minimum. We are 2.5 years now, approaching year 3, of a vintage Magic the Gathering bear winter market. And it is starting to feel like it could be a 5-year and even a possible decade before some catalyst can happen to just, shake the market or shake the grounds of it. I don't think there's anything I can do. People have suggested, Rudy, do like a buyout or do another Bizarre Baghdad thing or do anything to help it out. The market conditions for that type of behavior are not going to fit or work in this market cycle. I could do it. I could put 50 grand and buy out all the Bizarre Bagdads. Or maybe that would take 100 grand, today's money. but I don't think that would do anything. I don't think that would be enough to move the needle. You would get a couple people going, hey, look, there's that evil Rudy or scalper, scumbag scalper, the SS Rudy. Ooh, scumbag scalper Rudy, SS Rudy. I'm like a boat now. If I'm a boat, your stepsister can go. Anyways. So it's, I just don't think there's any real behavior I could do to really do that. In this particular cycle, we would need something that's unique, not done before and different. And I think that's going to need to be a major outside influence or a major company management corporate influence from Wizards or Hasbro that would take to really thaw or to really kind of jumpstart that kind of market. I just don't see it. Just to give you an idea, to pause that on Rudy's, Persian rug world or 18th, 19th century oil painting world, this stuff has not been in demand and has not been in favor with modern culture, because young people want modern silver, stainless steel. They don't want gold frames. They don't want original old paintings from the past. They don't want high-end wool and silk and handmade knots per inch Persian rugs. The new younger generation is not attracted to this stuff, which has made Rudy very attracted and very interested, because some of these categories are going on 10, 20 years. The peak of 19th century oil paintings and art, European art specifically, like interiors or old war scenes and different things, and whether it's German, Austrian, Italian, French, any of these paintings and stuff. I mean, these things peaked like in the 90s and 2000s. There were paintings that were $100,000 at Christie's and Sotheby's that you can acquire today for $20,000. And to me, when I see something like that, not only do I think it's beauty and history and you can learn from it, but to own an actual piece of history that was done in the moment and around those events, and that is a very priceless historical thing. And you're telling me those are 70-80% off from their highs? You have my attention. So the reason I bring the Rudy's Art World example is that you've seen them in Rudy's videos and backgrounds, but you've also noticed that that market is in like a 20-year cyclical bear market. People just don't want them. They are not going up in value. They haven't gone up in 19th century oil paintings haven't really appreciated in value in 20 years. Now there's two ways to look at that. You could say, wow, vintage magic could go 20 years and do nothing. This artwork may never go up. You could just put 20 grand into a painting that used to be 100 grand, and maybe it goes to 10 grand, maybe it goes to 5, maybe it's 0. Rudy has to cut it up, and I got to put each piece of the oil painting in a PCG slab, and I've literally got to take one hair off my head and put it in the slab and just serialize them, right? Serialize Rudy's hair. I don't know where I went with that. Sorry, everybody. But, there is a very real risk that some of these things can go a very long time. So looking at the vintage Magic the Gathering, again, I'm very blunt with you all. I have 8 figures in Magic the Gathering vintage. That's as close as I'm going to tell you what I have. And it's in 8 figures, just for those of you who are not the brightest in math, means 10 million plus. And no, it is not 10 million. It is the plus. And that's as most I'm willing to share, because it's kind of embarrassing, I guess, right? Should I be embarrassed? I feel embarrassed. I'm always embarrassed. Why do I make videos if I'm embarrassed? Washer dryer, stepsister. She's cute. Okay, never mind. And it's tough to accept, and it's tough to understand that you may love something. I may love something. Just because I love it, and I see beauty and history and emotion in it, doesn't mean it's going to be a good investment. And, let's put it this way. If Magic the Gathering goes 7 more years, vintage Magic is the same price, that means it's a lost decade. That's a 10-year period. We've had no appreciation in vintage Magic. Shit, you could take $10 million, $20 million, $30 million, put in the S&P 500, and most likely in 7 years from today, in the year 2032 or something, I bet in 2032 the S&P 500 is probably going to be higher than where it is today. The odds are pretty favorable, not including the 2% annual dividend on the S&P 500. I mean, well, maybe not now, maybe it's like 1.5% because tech has swelled so much. But it's just, that's a risk you have to take when you diversify. So I just wanted to mention that about vintage Magic the Gathering. And as the days turn to weeks and months go by, my bullishness of the vintage magic recovery or new highs or uptick continues to be met with cold water, because I look online, I ask patrons, they send me patron messages. I have patrons who buy vintage magic and everything. And a lot of people still love old magic cards. I do. But there was no way to disagree with the data. And the data shows that, well, no matter how you feel about certain things, vintage magic is flat. The vintage magic winter continues. Number two, Fallout collector boxes. Rudy, did you see Fallout collectors went from $650 to $550? Oh my God, dude. Fallout collector boxes are probably going to be $1,000 a box. Number three, I know, Assassin's Creed is zero. It's all trash, Rudy. How can you shill? You can say all you want. Assassin's Creed was a very successful release for Wizards. It sold well. They made a lot of money. Collector boxes are still $268 plus tax, TCG player. Okay, about $290 shipped. A little below $300 of what Rudy's target was. What's the Beyond boxes? Assassin's Creed Beyond. Really? 110 plus tax? Wow, 117 out the door. I thought it would tank worse. People were acting like it's at zero. No matter how we feel about certain things, we have to look at the data and we have to take our opinion, put it aside. And vintage magic is still not looking like it's going to make any moves anytime soon. I think it's frustrating because part of me wants it to tank further so evil Rudy can move in and I could just kind of do the old scoop, like you're in Las Vegas and you're playing roulette and they're spinning the wheel, and then all of a sudden you bet your life savings on roulette in Vegas and you're going, wait a minute, the green zero, why is there another green double zero? Why is there a third triple zero? Wait a minute, why am I losing all my money in Vegas? Because in other words, the odds are just not in your favor anymore. And I guess a part of me was hoping the old magic would drop further so I could move in and do the swoop like they do in roulette. Everybody puts their chips on, then everybody loses. They do the swoop and they take all the chips. I wish maybe there was going to be an actual collapse further and Rudy could do the swoop and kind of acquire a lot of these things, but we're not seeing that. It's definitely gridlocked. We see the people who have ABU and Four Horsemen sets in Magic, everybody seems very content of where they are though. The market feels like a stalemate. That's a good name for this video. The market feels like a stalemate because it feels like the 2-year bear market, or I guess 2.5 years now, of vintage magic. It feels like most people who are frustrated, who are leveraged, everybody got flushed out in that 2-year crash. The first 2 years were the worst. Everything got annihilated, post-Magic 30 and the unwinding, the inflation, yeah. But it doesn't, I still just don't, see, that's why I'm having a hard time. Usually when markets stay flat or they're sluggish, you see every time there's an uptick, you see like downward pressure or like ice water thrown on it. Something pushes it down as holding and suppressing it. It's like, you want to stick yourself up, but then something keeps pushing down on your balls kind of, no, let's keep it appropriate. So it keeps trying to come up, but you keep pushing down. So you got that up, down, and out thing going on. No, it's still inappropriate. So it's just, usually there's some catalyst or something holding the market in place, but now it just feels like a stalemate. It feels like there's no real new buyers and blood moving in. The people who have it, everybody's just kind of accepted it is where it is. The buy lists aren't tanking. There's been no buy list erosion. There's no buy lists from Castle Kingdoms and Snowballs and Moon Cities. And actually, if anything, Revised Dual Lands, the cornerstone, remains very stable. Every once in a while, you'll see a little 5% uptick. But it's very, very stable. So again, it's a very confusing market. And I think what makes it the toughest is that we're in for a game right now of patience and who's gonna make it the longest. I feel like I'm in like a Mr. Beast video, or I'm in a game show and we're all waiting each other out. I feel like that's what it is right now. I feel like we're all in a waiting purgatory state in the magic world, waiting. People who want to buy want it to be cheaper. People who want to sell want a new bull market. We're in this stalemate market of everyone waiting for the next thing. And I think the conclusion of Rudy's rambles and thought process is, I think that ye who can wait the longest will win this one. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's anything any of us can do to stimulate change, push up or down the market. It is a stalemate for the first time in maybe a decade. And I think it's a game of who's going to outweight the stores and the buy list and the customers. Who's going to last the longest until the next market shift? And based on 2.5 years, or let's just say 3 years, 3 years of a vintage bear market, I'm willing to bet it's going to be I think it's going to be a 5 to 10 year vintage magic winter. And I think we're approaching 3 years in now. I think we could be a 5 to 10 year. I hate to use 10 year. That's like a decade, man. I'm thinking it could be a 5 to 7 year maybe. That sounds better. But we're only almost 3 years in. We got a long way to go, folks. I know this is going to sound backwards, but I want to put this in the video. I don't really have any else where to put this. I feel like the sealed magic market, in the examples that people have been sending me, Commander Masters, and the new one in the last few days, I had a couple of patrons message me. You guys know who you are, and thank you for letting me know. Like the Battle for Zendikar, going back to all-time highs at $200 a box after crashing down to almost 100. I almost feel like this is worse because as what we kind of call that mid-tier bronze era boxes, pre-2020, but after Silver Age, bronze, printed demand, RTR gate crash to 2020, seeing the recovery of those boxes, which everybody said, oh, that's the Rudy Alpha Investments era of 2016 when Rudy started his YouTube to the 2019 before COVID, that particular 5-year era was annihilated really hard in the 2-year crash. But that particular sector of vintage box, or not vintage box, well, yeah, I guess we can call older sealed product, is continuing to recover though. Like you look at the Eldritch Moon, you look at Kaladesh off the lows, Battle for Zendikar back towards the highs, even the old master sets of Modern Masters 2013, 2015, 2017, Ultimate Masters, reprint sets, even the Battle Bond back towards the highs. Like we're starting to see some sets, not all of them. There's still some that are incredibly cheap. War of the Sparks, Guilds of Ravnica Allegiance. But we're seeing other sets like OG Dominaria from 2018, which hit a high of like 200, then crashed back to like 110, 120. We're seeing that push back to the 150, 200. We are seeing some of these sets start to run back up. And it's weird to me to see that we have Bronze Era sealed product making moves organically with no one really doing anything, and yet the grails of ABU Four Horsemen, it still has no real legs, no real momentum, no emotional, there's no excitement, there's no FOMO, there's nothing there. It's hollow, it's an empty shell. But seeing things like, Battle for Zendikars, Eldritch Moons, and honestly, even looking at garbage sets, the Return to Ravnica, Gatecrash, Dragon's Maze, the bottom of the barrels, going back, seeing original Innistrad with Snappy and Liliana, where all the cards have been reprinted and trashed. Seeing OG Innistrad, from the highs of 500, 600 back to the lows of 250, 300, back, creeping back towards the high. To see Avacyn Restored, to see some of these new Phyrexia, I think Dark Ascension is upticked off the lows, but nowhere near. But to see a lot of that era product kind of moving back is kind of like, oh. And then, like, if you pick, Khans of Tarkir, Fate Reforged, Dragons of Tarkir, even if you pick one of those sets, sure, they're not back to their highs, but man, you go on TCG Player, some of these things there is nothing fucking there, man. You've got literally 2 or 3 people listing 5 boxes, and then if someone buys a case of 6, someone can just go online right now, and if you bought 6 boxes, 12 boxes of some of these things, man, the prices will just swing off the map. It's more bullish than it is with old Magic. In conclusion of this video, I'm ending it now, is that I don't think that's bullish for old Magic. I think it remains, I know, it's more bullish for newer sealed product in newer Magic than it is older. People wanting and connecting with that era more than crazy high-end reserve list is still more bullish that the new player base, younger people, and sealed product of newer eras is going to continue to outperform the old stuff. That's what the data shows me. I'm hoping that's wrong and incorrect, but that is the current trend is your friend until the end, around the bend in Rudy's penis.